In this video, we're going to be journeying into new territory, the world of expressions. Expressions are something that I've never covered on the channel before, and quite honestly, they're very complicated. But with the power of Google and a little bit of help from AI, I was able to figure out a little bit of expressions to create a slow shutter effect. Now, if you don't care about the technical workings of how I developed this preset, you can skip to this time code and the link in the description to my website to actually download the preset for free. And at that time code, I actually explain how the preset works as far as it working in Davinci Resolve. And for everyone that's decided to stick around, I'm going to Fusion and actually show how I use expressions and the nodes and the whole flow, how I created the preset, so you can create it for yourself. And if you don't want to, of course, you can download the one I've already created for you. Now, before we get into that, make sure you hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It's a small gesture that goes a long way in supporting the channel.
Let's go.
All right, for this example, I got some footage from the homie NLE Chopper's video. I'm gonna actually right click, turn this to a new Fusion clip. Then I'm gonna take this footage into Fusion. All right, so in Fusion, we're gonna grab a couple of nodes. I'm gonna hit Control and Space or Command and Space if you're on Mac. And we're gonna type in alpha. Now we're looking for the alpha divide. Now, if you can hit Control and Space again and hold it down, select alpha and hit add, it'll bring back up the window. From there, we're gonna type in duplicate. Once again, hold down Control and Shift, and Control and Space, I'm sorry. Hit add, bring back up the window. And then we're gonna hit time. Looking for the time stretcher node and hit add. Those are three we need for now. I'm gonna hold Shift and take this alpha divide and connect it to my media one. Move this over a little bit. The alpha divide more or less helps keep like your footage and the effect itself separated. Now from my alpha divide, I'm gonna grab the output and connect it to the input of the duplicate node. I'm gonna take the output of the duplicate node, connect it to my time stretcher node, take that output of the time stretcher, connect it back to the alpha divide. That's gonna create a merge node. Now I'm gonna select the time stretch node. I'm gonna right click. We're gonna go to edit controls. And what this is gonna do is gonna allow us to actually go and create a new parameter here in the inspector tab that we can manipulate. So I'm gonna hit edit controls and go into new controls. Now when naming your control, you make sure you notate how you name it as far as like the capitalization. So I'm gonna hit capital F, frame, and then capital D, drop. And go down here where it says page. It's letting you know it's asking you what page you want this effect on, which is gonna make it come up in the same page as the rest of the parameters here. Then I'm going to input control. I'm gonna select a slider control and then hit OK. So now you got this frame drop down here. From there, I'm actually gonna go up here to this little pin icon, click the pin. It's gonna hold it in place. Then I'm going to go into the duplicate node and you'll see it's down here now. What we need to do now is use an expression. In Premiere Pro and After Effects, it's called pit whipping. So you right click, go down to expressions, you get this little plus icon. I'm gonna take this plus icon and connect it to the frame drop. Just basically hover over it and let go. You should see this expression come up here. Time stretcher 1 dot frame drop. Now, alternatively, you can also type this in if you want to, but I prefer just doing the pick whip. So now the frame drop is basically gonna control the number of copies you create. And now within the duplicate node, on the time offset, I'm gonna right click, type in expressions. And here, you're gonna actually type out an expression. So here, you're just gonna type in -sign, capital COPIES, negative copies. So basically however many copies are created, this is gonna create a negative representation of those same copies. So as I go up on the frame drop, you see the number of copies going up, and you also see the amount of copies, the time offset going down. Now by default, the frame drop only go up to 1. So if you go ahead and just type in 3 or however you want to, you can increase that. Or if you type on the name stretcher, right click, go to edit controls, we can actually change the parameters of the control. So I'm gonna hit the drop down, I'm gonna go and find frame drop. And right here it says range, I'm gonna start off from 1 and we're gonna increase, I think on the preset I did, I think I increased it to 8. So now and go all the way up to 8 and default is 1. Now we're gonna go back into the time stretch node and on the sample spread, I'm gonna turn it up to 5. Well, actually 0.5, sorry. But you can see there is actually starting to make a slow shutter type effect. And on time stretcher, whenever you bring it in, it actually locks your frame. So we actually got to type in an expression to why it will allow it to play out our frames. So now I'm gonna go to source time, right click, and select expressions. And here we got to type out an expression. Expression we're gonna type in is time. You're gonna open parentheses, time again, the %, frame drop. Now you're gonna type in frame drop exactly the way you did it when you created your control. So in my case, it's gonna be a capital F, RAME, move the mess out the way, then capital D, drop. No spaces in between. You're gonna close the parentheses, hit enter. You'll notice here my time stretching and my merge turn red. That's a bad thing.
Come on, man.
I actually messed up. Go back into here into the expression. I'm gonna double click in between the E and the parentheses and put a minus sign. Hit enter.
Good job.
Now you see these nodes actually turn back white. And if you hit play, it starts to play out. Now it's playing out, but I didn't realize this clip was so short. So I'm gonna go back and pick a better clip. All right, so now I got a better clip. And I'm just gonna copy and paste the nodes. I'm gonna take this output of the media 1, connect it to the alpha divide, move this media out over to the side here. And then I'm gonna take the output of the merge 1 and connect it to the media out. And now we have our effect. Now the driving force behind the effect, once it's created, is pretty much this frame drop. So if you increase it, you get more of a shutter effect. Then of course, if you drop it down, it plays out a little bit smoother. And if you turn down the sample spread as well, it has an overall effect of the clip as well, making it a little bit smoother.
Perfect.
Now we're going back into the edit page. If you hit the link in the description, you can download the actual preset. It actually has a little extra to it compared to what I just showed you. So we go into effects. Under the effects tab, on the GSFX folder, you'll find the slow shutter. Just drag and drop. We're gonna close back down the effects panel. And within the preset itself, I added a little film grain. So go into the Spectre tab, click on effects. You can actually turn up or turn down the film grain, or you can just cut it off altogether. Then you got the blends here. If you crank it all the way up, it's on the screen, which is something I forgot to mention in the building of the effects. So let me go back. Now back in Fusion, when I actually created the preset, under here where it says the apply mode, I turned it to screen up here, and it makes it a little bit brighter. So then I turn down, so then under blur, I go in here and I turn down a bit of the blend to kind of more or less give it the default look. But within the preset, you can actually change both of these. Back in the edit page on the Expected tab, you can turn up and turn down the blend. Like it's about midway. You change it back to normal if you want to. You notice how the footage goes back a little bit darker. Now down here, the frame drop, as you see, it's set at 2, so you can crank it up and gives you more of an effect. Now, if you have a problem with it rendering, as you notice here, the little blue line, the effect is completely rendered. If I right click and go into render Fusion Cache, I can click on the effect itself to make sure it render, and then under playback, scroll down to render cache and make sure it's set to smart. So by default, it'll start off red, and you can see here it just went back, turned back blue, so it's rendered out again. Now the higher the frames, the more laggy you'll get the effect. Now, I'm gonna cut back on the grain controls and turn it back to screen. Of course, I have to re-render again, but here you have the grain spacing. So if you want to be more stretched out, you can stretch it out, and if you want to increase the size, you can increase the size of the film grain as well. That's been the video. Remember, again, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We might be almost at 5K or past 5K subscribers by the time this video uploads, so I appreciate everyone. I do have a plan for like a 5K giveaway coming up, so stay tuned for that as well, and I'll see you next time.